dragged on the internet all week for releasing a movie called Go Back to China right now. I gotta say, we set the release date months ago, right? I did not choose to release a movie called Go Back to China
In the middle of a global crisis. Yes. Duh. Hello.
So for everyone making fun of me on the internet, just quit it.
Yes. Keep calm and carry on, right?
It's all publicity, right?
I know, right?
I know.
Yeah, I know, right?
Let's
Yeah,
go viral.
right.
But this was
No pun intended.
So this was a great question that was brought up last night at the New York screening about the whole title, everything going on. And I first wrote the script in, the first draft was written in December 2016. So it was right after the election, and it was very much like of the time then. And then, you know, it's been sort of it's been a kind of a 3-year process. And it's been amazing how many times Go Back to China has been trending in the news throughout this 3-year process. First, post-election, and then, you know, when Trump sent out those tweets, go back to where you came from. That was during our New York premiere last August. And then now with the virus, I'm like, it's amazing how many times this phrase has been sort of just, I guess, like.
We keep talking about it, we keep using it.
Go Back to China
yes.
is always going to be in vogue.
Right. But it's as we were talking about it earlier. It's like it's about reclaiming something that's always been thrown in our faces, who are Asian American, and it's something that's used quite often as clapback. But unless you watch this movie and know what the real meaning of it and the prize of being able to be privileged to go back to China. And so congratulations for making the film, Emily, and thank you for sharing part of your life story, yes, with us through this film. Can you tell us a little bit about how it came about?
Yeah, so this movie is actually largely autobiographical in that when I was 24 years old, I went back to China and worked for the family business. So a lot of this movie was based on my actual experience. I would say the character of Sasha is a much more exaggerated version of myself at 24. At least I hope so.
I think Anna Akana is a much exaggerated version of everyone here.
Everything is done for dramatic effect.
Right.
But a lot of that was, you know, just based on the experience of having. Not only did I go back to China, I ended up working for the family business for over a decade. So I'm actually closer to the Lynn Chen character in the movie now. Okay. So in a way, I'm both sisters.
Right.
Like Sasha is me at 24, and Carol is who I am today. Like everyone just assumes like, oh, Sasha is you, like Anna Kana is you. It's like actually Lynn Chen is closer to my character today.
And looking back and commenting on your younger self going back to China, literally, and oh my God, hating it. Yeah.
And that was true of me at 24.
Sure. Yeah.
And I feel like now, you know, making the movie now, 10 years later, gives me the perspective that I didn't have back then.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm able to sort of like look back on this situation and sort of like see the nuance of it. And instead of being, you know, like Sasha, right when she went back to China, my life is over. This is the worst thing to ever happen to me. And I did feel that way, but I definitely see the benefits of having gone through this journey.
Mm-hmm.
And like it shaped who I am today.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, just that age and the life experience and the ability to care for others and see lives of others who are affected by your own actions. So that's, you know, that was the surprising part of the film for me. Lynn, could you tell us, oh my God, you did the ladies plus Anna Akana and the little Dior. Oh my God. And can you just give it up for the ladies during Women's History Month? Hello.
Yeah.
The scene where you really navigated with strength and with just simplicity and with honest truth without manipulating or feeling sorry for oneself as a daughter with a father who doesn't quite love her in the way that she expected. How did you find that in yourself to navigate? And the room's condolences on the closure of SXSW, and for your I Will Make You Mine film, the third film in the daylight savings, and Oh my God, Dave Boyle, forgive me for the second film's title.
Daylight Savings.
Yeah, Daylight Savings, and the second one, oh my God, because this is
Surrogate Valentine.
Yes, Surrogate Valentine. So you wrote and directed and are playing in the third.
And you're in it as well.
Thank you. But you know, it's rough news, and you made it. You swallowed your pride, and you said, "I'm coming to a fellow filmmakers,
Of course.
debut today."
Well, Emily
so
also
thank you.
produced the movie.
I know, but still,
It's good to be amongst your community.
And your family.
Yeah.
Yeah. So could you tell us about your journey with Emily and during this film?
The way I came about this film is actually pretty funny. I was in New York City on a film, and I was watching a movie. And Jamie Chung was in Emily's first movie, It's Already Tomorrow in Hong Kong, and she tweeted about it and said it's available to watch on Netflix. So I was like, I'm gonna watch Jamie's movie tonight. So I did, and I remember after it was done, I was like, that was really good. Who is this Emily Ting? She's Asian, she's a filmmaker, why don't I know her? And I looked her up, and we had all these friends in common, and I just, was like, I thought nothing of it. I was just kind of mad that I didn't know her. And the next, or a few days later, I get an email from Dave Boyle, and our mutual friend, who's also the producer of I Will Make You Mine. And he said, hey, Lynn, I have a script for you from Emily Ting. She wants you to be in her new movie. And I was like, Emily Ting? That sounds very familiar. And sure enough, it was the same Emily Ting. So, I mean, at that moment when I found out who she was, I was like, I don't need to read this script. I'm going to just say yes. But I was like, I did. I was like, I'm going to read the script. And I loved it. And I was like, wait a second. And I heard that Anna was attached to it. I already knew Anna. And it was just, I get to go back to China.
Right.
Like, I hadn't been there since I was a teenager. This is an incredible experience. So, I when I was done with my movie in New York and Emily and I met, yeah, of course I wanted to do it. So that's how I came aboard. Yeah.
How long of a period of time between seeing Jamie Chung's movie with Emily Ting and then reading Emily Ting's script?
Maybe 2 months.
Oh, wow.
Or a month. Yeah,
Wow.
because I finished doing the movie and then I came back and then we had the meeting, right?
You got the script right after you saw the
Oh,
movie.
yes. Yes, I said yes,
Like
right
straight away. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
got the script 2
I got the
days
script.
later.
Yeah, I got the script 2 days later. I read it, and then oh yeah, because I was already practicing my Chinese while I was with Tai Ma. Tai Ma
Oh,
was
the
in the movie
master,
with me,
the
and
father
he,
of all.
and he
Yes.
recorded the the one Chinese line I say for me. You
Oh,
can hear the
wow.
subway going on in the background while we were heading to set. I was like, will you read these lines for me, please, in Chinese? And he did.
Oh my
So that's how I started rehearsing. I started rehearsing for it right away.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty much immediate. Yeah, and then we met once I got back and started talking about the character.
Circularity and connectivity.
Yeah.
But so just as an actor, the scene you do with your father is just so incredibly well crafted, and seeing it, how you shot it, to be able to hold it all together and to pass that kind of feeling to your father for his close-up, where you're seeing his face to react to you. And then you're just so steady, so truthful, so honest. You go, Dad, this is the truth. This is my truth, and I'm not blaming you for it. I'm not feeling sorry for myself, in telling you. How did you come to find that serenity?
I don't know. I mean, it was the last day. It was that last
Oh,
day.
really?
It was the last thing we shot. I remember, so there was a lot of emotion already
Sure.
because it was going to be the end. And whenever I do a dad scene, my
Yeah.
father passed in 2012, so whenever I have to do a scene, it's very easy to get emotional when I think about my dad and all the things. I mean, I think I relate a lot to Carol and feeling like a disappointment to your parents and wanting to tell them the truth about who you are. So it came really naturally. I wouldn't say easily, but it came very naturally. And Emily was very gracious and saying to me, what do you need? Do you want to do your coverage first? And I was like, yes. let's bang these out. And then so then, by that time, by the time we moved on, because I believe we did that even before we did a wide, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think we did close-ups first, so that you were like, let's let's get Lynn what she needs. And
We
then
did the
by that
close-up,
time,
and then we
so then by that time, I already knew what I was going to be doing and what I was trying to match at that point. Yeah.
So I do want to say that is my favorite scene in the whole movie, and I remember it was our last scene that we ever shot in the whole movie, and I cried behind the monitor because your performance was just so good, and also that scene is basically everything I wanted to tell my father, but afraid to. And I just wrote these lines for Lynn to tell my screen dad. Like, that scene is probably the most meaningful for me in the whole movie, and you just knocked it out of the park. And I think maybe, you know, there's an element of it being our last day of shooting, and it was the end of, you know, like the road. But I just remember, like, yeah, I was standing behind the monitor and I'm just like crying. And I still cry sometimes when I watch that scene, like in a movie theater or whatever. So yeah, that's definitely the most meaningful.
So moving on to the next question that I have in mind. Has your family seen the movie? And do they see themselves up there?
That's a really good question. It's funny, I keep telling people, like, you know, it would have been much cheaper if we had just all gone to family therapy instead of making a movie about this.
Family therapy could be pretty,
So yeah, so for a long time, you know, like we did our festival circuit. It didn't hit Hong Kong until last August. So we had our Hong Kong premiere last August, and that's where my dad is and my family. And I remember, like, I don't know, the movie like ended at like 7 p.m. or 9 p.m. there or something, and it was gonna be like, it was like 4 a.m. like LA time, and I just stayed up all night like waiting for reactions from Hong Kong. And when the movie ended, I got these like flurry of messages from people. They're like, we loved it, it was so good. And I'm like, what did Dad think? What? And I kept, yeah, I was, and then I hadn't heard from it. I hadn't heard from him. And then about like an hour after the movie ended, like I got the flurry of messages, and an hour later, I finally got the text message I was waiting for, and it was a very simple, like, he just sent me 5 like thumbs up emojis. And I'm like, okay, we don't need to talk anymore about this. It is what it is.
He probably couldn't talk because that is, you know, somewhat of a reaction that we find in Asian Americans or Asian families. It's like, I can't say.
Yeah. I know he was
Yeah,
proud
right?
of me. He couldn't say
He
it.
couldn't say
but
it.
The emojis.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
That, what a great thing, what a great thing. Kelly who, Miss Kelly who? Okay.
Oh, hey, girl.
Hey, girl.
You and I go way back.
Dude, oh my God.
I was
Oh,
on
my God.
set when you were shooting Karate Kid in Hawaii.
When these guys were just sparkles in their dad and mommy's
my
eyes,
You
right?
did not even exist, did you?
Yeah.
Jesus.
This-
No,
No,
I into all
Yes,
of it.
Lynn,
Yeah,
Chen, and
yeah,
I
yeah.
have a special connection because.
How?
Oh my God, she's.
You connected to everybody.
No. She
Karate Kid
Karate
fan.
Kid fan. Oh my
I
God.
named my band after them in college. Yeah.
She was. She
were they
is
Cobra
really
Kai?
okay.
No, it was called You Pretty Okay Too. It's a line that Mr. Miyagi says.
Okay too. Oh my. Well, Miss Kelly, who? How does it feel? Because I'm in your same boat. How does it feel to play really cool moms?
We are such moms
and
now.
still-
And neither one of us are moms.
Right?
I know.
We're rare. You know, it's like Ming and Lauren and Roslyn. They're all moms.
They're all
And
moms.
we're
They're
not.
for real.
How do?
We gotta fake it.
But how do you come across? How do you figure out? How do you research being a mom? Do you take a look at your own mom? Because
You know, I
you're
don't
so
know.
maternal. You're so I mean, and with an unwieldy child like Anna
You know what's so
Ankano.
funny though?
What?
Nobody has asked me to be a godmother. Nobody has ever asked me to watch their kid.
What?
People just know better.
No, because you know.
No, because
We all know you
I'm not,
take them clubbing. That's why Anna.
You know, I am that auntie. I am that auntie that does all the wrong things, and then I get all the calls afterwards like, what did you say? I know. I'm like, what? You cannot tell kids that? When did that start?
Right.
Yeah, I know.
No, but seriously, because you have a rootedness, you know, it's really evident in the bed scene. It's very simple. Again, your hands with your actors is very strong and it's very rooted, and you got it out of both these two. And it was just, because I know them as well, and we know them as well, but you just relate to them. How did you find the mother in you, or how do you find the mother in you? Because we are obviously of a certain age, and it's just really beautiful because you're still sexy as F, and it's like, but then the mama part goes,
This is just a wig. I had to wear this for an audition earlier, and I didn't have time to take it off. But no, I think you and I both, we just love the human race. We just love people, and so it's not hard to connect and find that love for anyone. I feel like.
But it's
kind
also
of
the wisdom and the passing on of the lessons that Emily had scripted, and what the characters. And I'm sorry that Anna's not here, but she's such a rock here. It's like, right? We start off going, oh my God, what are we watching? This little spoiled little brat, and then she surprisingly and naturally and very realistically changes at the pace of the film, because it's because of the characters that she's surrounded with.
She's
is
such a
affected
smart
by.
actor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, I could see that working with her.
Right.
That she really is calculated, and she knows her stuff.
Yeah.
She really knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
It's great.
Is there any way that we can help push out the enthusiasm for this film, especially during this time? Because it's about us being Americans, having the privilege to go back to the home country that we're from, and saying we have footage in the mother countries that we come from, but also being Americans, it's like we have that double lens kind of vision. So is there any way that all the audience people can help you promote your film?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is opening night, so thank you guys so much for coming. So if you enjoyed the movie, please tweet about it, or do it.
Is a hashtag go back to
China
film
film.
or movie?
Remember to add the film at the end. Otherwise, history is a racist.
Unless you want to welcome the trolls and just fight back and say, it's an honor to be Asian, goddammit. So,
Publicity, it's all publicity.
Yeah, good publicity. We'll take anything. Or you could do an Instagram story and tag us. Just get the word out. I know it's really hard for people to go out to the theaters these days, especially with people being concerned with the virus. We're also available on VOD this week, so if you can't make it out to the theater, you can watch it from the comfort of your home. We're on iTunes, Amazon, cable VOD, wherever you rent movies at home. We're also available on DVD. If anyone's old school and wants to get a hard copy for your parents, DVD player. But like these screenings are really kind of for word of mouth, and also, so you could sort of hear from us, the Q&As. We're doing another Q&A session on Sunday with Anna. She's at a wedding tonight, so unfortunately she couldn't be here. Not her own. She's not getting married tonight.
Right.
She's, I think, in a wedding for someone else. But she'll be here on Sunday. We're doing a 4:40 screening, so if you liked it, you could tell people to come to that one. I think we still have a handful of tickets left for that screening. But we have screenings all week. Yep. So please tell people to come.
But let's take some questions from the audience really quick. Hi, there.
Just wanted to know, I think I can speak loud enough. I don't think I need a microphone. I want to know if you were related to the factory workers in China.
Unfortunately, so we shot in my family's actual toy factory. So that's all real, and all the locations. Teddy's crazy mansion is my dad's actual house.
No.
Yeah. With the naked chicks on the.
Show the crazy parts of the house. There's like a theater with a karaoke. It was like
There's a basement.
Yeah.
There's a basement, but it's not like Parasite basement. It's really nice.
it's huge.
Yeah.
Did you design the toys?
So the sloth that is in the movie and you guys will be getting is from our Christmas like line in like I think 2016 or 2017. And I just like yeah, it's like real, and we sold it into I think like Dollar General had it, Kroger had it, like we sold it into stores. And I just took it, changed the scarf, and put it in the movie. We did not ship it out with the wrong scarf. Oh, but in terms of like impacting the workers, you know, like that day, like the childcare thing, and something is an idea that I've had for a really long time, but it's actually really not that simple because you get into child labor laws. So actually, you cannot have like a childcare center and like within certain like of the factory because of yeah. I mean, it was something we definitely have discussed because I feel you know I've seen this. This is based on actual people that I know, and you know they're migrant workers and they see their children once a year, sometimes longer. We have factory workers who go home every 3 years, and when they go home, the kids don't know who they are. They push them away, and it's really really sad. And naive me, I'm like, well, why don't we just give them childcare? But it's not that simple. You know, this is a movie, so it's a little bit of a yes, we'll just have childcare, and but it's a little bit of wishful thinking.
Right.
Another question in the audience. Oh, I'm gonna pick one here and then the person right there, straight ahead. But you, yes.
So I was wondering, as a writer, when did you realize that this was something that you wanted to make into a script?
So as a writer, when did you know how to when that you wanted to make it into a movie?
I mean, this is a story that's obviously been with me for a really long time, and I feel like, you know, every artist, writer, person, you know, has that one story that kind of shapes who they are, and sort of shapes the trajectory of their life. And this, for me, is it, because I went back to China when I was 24, and, you know, every day I wonder what my life would have been like if I hadn't taken that journey. So it's a very big part of me. But in terms of actually writing the story, I knew I wanted to tell the story, but I didn't know how to tell the story. And I think I started so many different drafts of this throughout like sort of my 12 years of, you know, working in China. A lot of start and stop, because I didn't really know how to tell the story. But after I made my first movie, Already Tomorrow in Hong Kong, that was a rom-com. After that, there was a lot of expectations for me to make another rom-com. And then I was just constantly writing sort of rom-com pitches. And I just was not very passionate about any of them because I feel like I wanted to get this story out first before I could sort of move on. And then, you know, after 12 years of not really knowing how to tell the story, I banged out the treatment in like 2 weeks over Christmas. Like, it's just one of those things where it's been sitting with you forever, and then when it's ready, it just sort of poured out of me. And yeah, like the first draft was sort of like January 2017. So, and then we shot the movie in 2018. You know, in the life of an indie film, that's actually a pretty quick turnaround.
All right, this gentleman, my contacts are so poor right now. White T-shirt. Yes.
Can you talk about casting the father and how you found Richard? Like, what it's like line improvise?
Yeah. So, did you know who Richard was before you saw the movie? So, for those of you who don't know, Richard is actually a really big veteran actor in Hong Kong. So he's been in like something like 200 movies in Hong Kong. So if you like grew up in Hong Kong in like the 80s, 90s, he's always sort of the comedic sort of sidekick to Jackie Chan or like Chow Yun-fat. He's in a lot of those movies. So we were lucky to get him because he made a cameo in my first movie. He played a fortune teller in Already Tomorrow in Hong Kong. And the only reason we got him for that was because my producer in Hong Kong is friends with his daughter. So we had that personal connection. But on the first movie, it was like a half-day shoot. He just came in and did it for fun. With this one, we really had to kind of convince him because Richard is like in his late 70s. He's semi-retired. He turns down roles all the time because he doesn't really need to work. And he doesn't really want to work that much. He's like, I'm like perfectly happy where I am. But when he got the script, he told me he wanted to help me because, he wants to help young filmmakers starting out, because when he was starting out, a lot of people helped him. So like he would turn down, like big Chinese TV shows, but he would do my scrappy little indie for no money because he wanted to help me. So that really like touched me, and he was really instrumental in shaping the character of Teddy, because he didn't want him to come off as being too one-note, mean Asian dad, like that trope. And he's like, you might be clouded by your own sort of relationship with your father, but we really went, we did a whole Teddy pass before he agreed to take on the role. He's like, I want to see more nuance. Like we sat down and we went through scene by scene to make sure that there's this very lovable side to him too. And also, Richard comes from a comedic background, so he's a comedian. So he kind of brought that kind of lovable energy to him, whereas a different actor might have just stayed very stern and mean. Yeah, so it's different actors kind of bring different parts of themselves to the character, and I think it's great what he did here, because I think a lot of people are like, yes, he's a mean dad, but he's also very lovable, and there's something about him, and I think you should have that nuance with every character that you have.
It's expressed in the scene with Lynn again, where he doesn't need to say anything, he's just receiving everything she says, and he's just an incredibly gifted, gem to have worked with and view. I think we could take a couple of more questions. I think there's a lady, 1, 2, 3, yes, with your hand up. Your question, and you get a sloth or something, yes?
I love the colors in the film. How or why did you decide on all the pastels that were throughout the film?
Oh, thank you. So, if you know me, I love a color-coordinated film. So my first movie, it's all red and green, and those were sort of based off of the neon lights of Hong Kong. With this film, whenever I start prepping, I'm like, what is the color palette of the movie? So I set it in the pastel world because that was the toy that she ended up designing. So all the pastel colors, it was something that was unique and different to sort of your usual Christmas color palette. So I wrote that into the script, and then I made that into sort of the visual world. And if you see, there's some subtle differences, when she's in LA, the color palette is more saturated, more jewel tones, and then once she gets to China, that was when everything kind of became pastel-y. And we went into the factory and we painted it mint and pink. Oh yeah, the factory doesn't look like that. The factory has,
Does it still look like that though? Once you made the change, yeah?
Well, yeah. So so this kind of goes into your earlier question. So they usually, it's dirty white walls with fluorescent lights, and then we went in there. We wanted it to look pretty for camera, so we went in and painted the factory in our color palette. And the next day when they came into work, they're like, oh my God, this looks so nice. And I'm like, oh my God, just a coat of paint can make their working condition that much better, and why didn't we do that earlier? It's these are the times I'm only doing it because I wanted it to look nice on camera, but not because it's pleasing to the factory. So little things like that, even during making this movie, I'm like, oh my God, why have we not thought about that earlier? Just giving them fresh paint and some color on the wall.
So you used actual workers?
Yes. So yeah, we have some funny stories about that. So that's an actual working factory, and we couldn't shut down the factory because they got to make toys. So we have to work around their schedule. So we would go in there on Sundays when they're off, and then we paid the factory workers their usual day rate, but to be an extra. And they're like, oh, that sounds like fun. We'll come to work, but not really work and be part of the movie. And I thought it was gonna be so much fun. But after a day of working as extras, they're like, oh my God, never again. I don't want to do this again. They were feeling sorry for us. They're like, oh my God, making an independent film is so hard. Can't we just go back and make toys? It's they never been on a film set before. So the whole idea of like, you know, we set up a scene, we shoot it. They're like, oh, we're done. And it's like, oh, no, we gotta do another take. We gotta do another take. Oh no, now we gotta do it from this angle, and then this angle, and that angle. And no, you can't actually talk, but you have to like open your mouth and like fake talk. All of this stuff was very confusing, and they have like a very regimented schedule. So like, you know, 12 o'clock is when they eat, and 3 o'clock is when they have a break. So we were in the middle of a take, and then 12 o'clock rolls around, and everybody just got up. Like, we're gonna go to lunch, and we're like, we're in the middle of a take, and they're like, sorry. And then for that hour, we would put like crew members in their uniforms. They would shoot like close-ups of their hands sewing toys. And I'm like, I guess we have to shoot something. Yeah, so it was kind of a trip shooting a real life factory. Yeah.
I think we have one more stuffed animal to give away. So I think there was right here in the middle. Yes. In the middle of the room, because I got 2 in the front, 2 in the back, 1 in the middle.
I do have a question for Emily and everyone. For Emily, because it was so personal to you, I'm wondering if you learned something or saw something different about your own experience through the process of making the film. And then for everyone, if you learned something or took something away from going back to China, maybe after not visiting for a while and shooting there.
Yeah, I mean, Hong Kong and China are very different. I learned that from the script about that hair washing thing, and immediately went and did it. The second I got to China, I was like, I'm gonna go get my hair washed. It was $6 for an incredible blowout. But also, I just learned. Yeah, I know. I came out with like the most amazing hair ever from like some dude, and I realized I know how to actually speak Chinese a lot better than I thought. I had been told here in America, like, listen to her Chinese, and it like shamed me to not want to communicate with my parents, and I just speak Chinglish with them all the time. But then when I was in China, in Hong Kong I just spoke English, but in China I was forced to have to speak Mandarin with everybody. And I thought I did a pretty good job, and they were pretty impressed with me too. And suddenly, I could get around without a translator. Like by the like 3rd week that we were there, I was just like, "Hey, see y'all later. I'm going off." And while Anna was like a helpless like puppy, like, "Excuse me."
Oh no, you could get so lost.
But I felt great. I had no idea that I was so independent being in China. Yeah, it felt good.
How did it feel, Kelly, to play immigrant mom? Because I could detect the slight lilt in your accent. It was not
Well, we actually discussed, right, how much you wanted in this, because we decided that she would be living in LA for what, 20-something years.
She's not a new immigrant.
She's not
But she's someone who was an immigrant.
Correct.
So like I didn't really want like that perfect California English.